First contact gone wrong. The Zephyrian battle cruiser materialized from hyperspace like a predator emerging from shadows. Its crystalline hull reflected starlight in patterns that would have been beautiful if not for the weapons arrays bristling along its surface. Inside the bridge, Supreme Analyst Korvax watched the small human survey vessel drift peacefully through the asteroid field, unaware of its imminent capture. "Primitive craft detected," reported Navigation Officer Then, her 4 arms dancing across holographic controls. "No defensive shields, minimal armament. Species classification: unknown." Korvax's compound eyes gleamed with scientific curiosity. The Zephyrian Dominion had cataloged thousands of species across the galaxy, but these bipedal creatures were new. Their vessel's crude design suggested a civilization barely capable of interstellar travel. "Perfect specimens for study. Initiate capture protocol," Korvax commanded. "Non-lethal force only. We need living subjects." The human ship ESS Pioneer never stood a chance. Energy nets enveloped its hull, disabling systems one by one. Within minutes, the vessel was drawn into the Zephyrian cruiser's massive cargo bay. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, xenobiologist and sole crew member of the Pioneer, felt her stomach lurch as artificial gravity fields played havoc with her senses. Sarah had always dreamed of first contact, but not like this. Through her viewport, she watched massive doors seal behind her ship, trapping her inside an alien vessel larger than anything humanity had ever built. Her hands remained steady as she initiated emergency protocols, encrypting all data about Earth's location and transmitting a final distress beacon. The cargo bay flooded with a pale blue gas. Sarah recognized a sedative when she saw one. She took a deep breath, activated her biomonitor implant to record everything, then let unconsciousness claim her. Sarah awoke in a pristine white chamber, restrained to an examination table that molded itself to her body like living clay. The air tasted metallic, and gravity felt lighter than Earth normal. Through reinforced transparent walls, she observed her captors for the first time. The Zephyrians stood 8 feet tall, their bodies encased in natural armor that shifted color with their emotions. 4 arms ended in delicate manipulators, while their heads bore multiple eyes arranged in geometric patterns. They moved with insectoid precision, every gesture deliberate and calculated. "Subject regaining consciousness," announced a smaller Zephyrian, who Sarah mentally labeled as a medical technician. "Vital signs stable. Brain activity indicates high cognitive function." Korvax approached the containment chamber, his armor shifting to deep purple. "Remarkable. The sedative should have kept it unconscious for another cycle. Perhaps their metabolism processes chemicals differently." Sarah forced herself to appear groggy and confused. Years of field research had taught her that playing helpless often yielded more information than resistance. She let out a soft whimper, making her movements sluggish and uncoordinated. "Fear response detected," the technician noted. "Preliminary scans show bilateral symmetry, internal skeleton, and surprisingly complex neural architecture for such a primitive species." Korvax activated a translation matrix, its energy field enveloping Sarah's head like a crown of light. "Can you understand us, creature?" Sarah nodded slowly, maintaining her act. Where am I? Please, I don't understand what's happening." "You are aboard the Dominion research vessel, Eternal Inquiry," Korvax explained, his tone clinical. "Your species has been selected for comprehensive analysis. Cooperate, and no harm will come to you." The next several hours blurred into a series of tests. The Zephyrians examined every aspect of Sarah's biology, from her cellular structure to her cognitive abilities. They seemed particularly fascinated by her adaptability. First came environmental challenges. The chamber's temperature soared to 45 degrees Celsius, hot enough to be uncomfortable but not dangerous. Sarah pretended to struggle, panting dramatically while actually employing breathing techniques learned during survival training. When they plunged the temperature to -20 degrees Celsius, She shivered convincingly while her body efficiently maintained core temperature. "Incredible thermal regulation," muttered the technician. "Their homeostatic mechanisms far exceed initial projections." Next came atmospheric variations. They reduced oxygen levels gradually, watching for signs of distress. Sarah had trained at high altitudes and in low oxygen environments. She let them see mild discomfort while easily managing with half the oxygen she normally needed. Next came atmospheric variations. They reduced oxygen levels gradually, watching for signs of distress. Sarah had trained at high altitudes and in low oxygen environments. She let them see mild discomfort while easily managing with half the oxygen she normally needed. Physical tests followed. They made her run on adaptive surfaces that shifted from solid to liquid beneath her feet. Sarah stumbled strategically, hiding her true agility while memorizing every detail of their technology. When they tested her problem-solving abilities with holographic puzzles, she solved them just slowly enough to seem intelligent but not threatening. "Curious," Korvax mused, studying the results. "Physical capabilities are modest, but adaptability indexes are extraordinary. No other species we've encountered shows such biological flexibility." Throughout the tests, Sarah observed her captors carefully. The Zephyrians communicated through a combination of sound and bioluminescent patterns on their armor. They moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single organism. She began to suspect they possessed some form of hive consciousness. A younger Zephyrian scientist, whose armor displayed nervous yellows and greens, seemed particularly intrigued by Sarah's responses. Unlike his superiors, he approached her containment with something resembling empathy. "Subject designation Sarah," he said during a rest period, his translation oddly gentle. "I am Research Assistant Zelik. Your species, it feels pain like we do, yes?" Sarah saw an opportunity. "Yes," she replied, allowing vulnerability into her voice. "We feel pain, fear, loneliness. I miss my home. My family must be worried." Zelik's armor flickered with what might have been sympathy. "The tests are necessary, but I will recommend rest periods. Your well-being affects data quality." As the day cycle progressed, Sarah learned more about her captors through overheard conversations. The Zephyrians were expansionist, using their technological superiority to study and subjugate other species. They viewed themselves as the galaxy's rightful catalogers, preserving knowledge while establishing dominion. But she also detected cracks in their confidence. References to the Terran anomaly and unprecedented readings suggested her human physiology was confounding their expectations. Each test revealed capabilities they hadn't anticipated. During a cognitive mapping session, the translation matrix malfunctioned briefly. For a moment, Sarah experienced raw Zephyrian thought patterns. The overwhelming sensation nearly broke her concentration, but she gleaned crucial intelligence. The Zephyrians feared species they couldn't categorize. Humans, with their remarkable adaptability and individual consciousness, represented something entirely outside their experience. "Prepare for neural pathway analysis," Korvax announced as the day cycle ended. "Tomorrow, we probe deeper into this species' consciousness structure." Alone in her cell that night, Sarah reviewed everything she'd learned. The Zephyrians' technology was advanced but not invincible. Their hive-like thinking made them predictable. Most importantly, they had no idea who they'd really captured. Dr. Sarah Mitchell wasn't just a xenobiologist. She was a graduate of Earth's Deep Space Intelligence Program, trained in first contact scenarios, alien technology analysis, and survival in hostile environments. Her apparent weakness was carefully calculated theater. As she drifted to sleep, Sarah began forming a plan. The Zephyrians thought they were studying a primitive species. Tomorrow, she would begin showing them just how wrong they were. The hunter was about to become the hunted. The species that couldn't be broken was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating humanity. The tables turn. Dawn in deep space meant nothing aboard the Eternal Inquiry, but Sarah's internal clock marked the passage of time. She woke to find Zelik standing outside her containment, his armor displaying patterns of curiosity mixed with concern. "Your neural patterns during sleep," he said, manipulating a holographic display. "They show remarkable organization, almost like you were planning." Sarah stretched innocently. "I was dreaming of home." "Do your people dream, Zelik?" The young scientist's armor flickered. "We share the collective unconscious during rest cycles. Individual dreams are foreign to us." This confirmed Sarah's suspicions about their hive mind nature. She filed the information away as Korvax entered with his team. "Begin deep neural analysis," the Supreme Analyst ordered. "The High Council demands preliminary reports on this species' potential threat level." Sarah allowed herself to be positioned in the scanning chamber, watching as crystalline probes descended toward her skull. The moment of truth had arrived. Her neural implants, designed to appear as natural brain tissue. Sarah allowed herself to be positioned in the scanning chamber, watching as crystalline probes descended toward her skull. The moment of truth had arrived. Her neural implants, designed to appear as natural brain tissue, would either fool their scanners or expose her immediately. The probes made contact. Sarah felt a strange tingling sensation as alien technology interfaced with her modified neurons. On the displays, her brain activity appeared as flowing patterns of light. "Fascinating," Korvax murmured. "Neural plasticity exceeds all known parameters. The connectivity patterns constantly reshape themselves." What they were seeing was partly natural human adaptability, and partly her implants working to mask certain regions of her brain. The sections containing classified information about Earth's defenses, human technology, and her true capabilities remained hidden behind false neural patterns. "Increasing scan intensity," announced the technician. Sarah felt the probe's energy surge. Pain lanced through her skull, but she maintained her breathing. Then something unexpected happened. Her implants didn't just deflect the scan. They began analyzing the Zephyrian technology in return. Information flooded her consciousness. Technical specifications, power systems, defensive capabilities. Her augmented brain processed the data stream, storing everything for later use. The Zephyrians' own scanning technology was being turned against them. "Energy spike detected," the technician warned. "The subject's neural activity is interfering with our systems." "Impossible," Korvax dismissed. "Primitive biology cannot affect quantum scanners." But the displays showed otherwise. Feedback loops formed between Sarah's brain and their equipment. Warning indicators flashed as systems began to overload. Sarah seized the moment. She let out a strangled cry, convulsing dramatically. "Stop. It hurts. Please." Zelik stepped forward, armor flashing with alarm. "Supreme Analyst, we're causing unnecessary suffering. The data corruption makes these readings useless anyway." Korvax hesitated, then gestured sharply. "Cease the scan. We'll try alternative methods tomorrow." As the probes retracted, Sarah slumped in apparent exhaustion. Inside, her mind raced with new knowledge. The ship's layout, security protocols, shield frequencies. Everything she needed was now stored in her enhanced memory. That night, Sarah put her plan into motion. The molecular tool she palmed during earlier tests had been slowly weakening her restraints. With a subtle twist, the bonds released. She moved to the cell's control panel, applying her newfound knowledge of Zephyrian technology. Their security was sophisticated but had a fatal flaw. It was designed to prevent escape from the outside, not manipulation from within. Their hive mind couldn't conceive of deception from a contained subject. Access codes flickered through the panel. Sarah navigated the system with growing confidence, careful to mask her activities as routine power fluctuations. She located the communication array and began encoding a message. The Zephyrians had made another crucial error. They assumed the Pioneer was a lone vessel, that humanity had barely achieved interstellar travel. They didn't know about the watchtower stations hidden throughout nearby systems, or the rapid response fleet standing by for exactly this scenario. Sarah compressed everything she'd learned into a tight beam transmission. Ship specifications, crew numbers, weapon capabilities, and most importantly, the Zephyrians' critical weakness. Their hive consciousness operated on quantum-entangled particles distributed throughout the ship. Disrupt that network, and their coordination would collapse. She'd identified the central node during the neural scan, a crystalline core in the ship's heart that maintained the quantum field. Message sent. Sarah returned to her restraints just as footsteps approached. Zelek appeared, his armor displaying unusual patterns. "You're not what you seem," he said quietly. Sarah's heart raced, but she maintained her confused expression. "I don't understand. During the neural scan, I sensed something. Your mind touched mine through the interface." Zelek's multiple eyes focused on her intently. "You understand us far better than you pretend." Sarah made a calculated decision. "And you're not like the others. You question. You doubt. That makes you dangerous to them." Zelek's armor shifted through a spectrum of colors: surprise, fear, curiosity. "Who are you really?" "Someone who doesn't want this to end in bloodshed," Sarah replied honestly. "Your people have made assumptions about humanity. Those assumptions are going to get many of them killed unless we find another way." Before Zelek could respond, alarms shrieked throughout the ship. The lights flickered as power systems fluctuated wildly. Zelek's armor shifted through a spectrum of colors: surprise, fear, curiosity. "Who are you really?" "Someone who doesn't want this to end in bloodshed," Sarah replied honestly. "Your people have made assumptions about humanity. Those assumptions are going to get many of them killed unless we find another way." Before Zelek could respond, alarms shrieked throughout the ship. The lights flickered as power systems fluctuated wildly. "Alert! Multiple hyperspace signatures detected," announced the ship's automated systems. "Unknown vessels approaching attack vectors." Sarah smiled grimly. The human fleet had arrived. 12 heavy cruisers dropped from hyperspace, weapons powered and targeting systems locked onto the Eternal Inquiry. On the bridge, chaos erupted. Korvax barked orders as his crew scrambled to respond. How did they find us? Their technology shouldn't be capable of tracking our hyperspace wake. What they didn't understand was that humanity had been preparing for first contact, friendly or hostile, for decades. Every human vessel carried quantum communicators linked to the defense network. Sarah's capture had triggered automatic protocols. "Incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. The main view screen activated, revealing Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Her expression was stone, but her eyes held deadly intent. "Zephyrian vessel, this is Admiral Victoria Chen. You have taken one of our citizens against her will. You have 30 seconds to transfer Dr. Mitchell to our custody, or we will take her by force." Korvax's armor flared red. Impossible demands. This primitive cannot. His words cut off as human weapons locked onto specific points along the Zephyrian hull. Not randomly, but targeting exact structural weaknesses, information that should have been impossible for them to possess. In her cell, Sarah watched Zelek's armor cycle through patterns of realization. The neural scan. You didn't just resist it. You reversed it. You learned everything about us while we learned nothing about you. Not nothing. Sarah corrected. You learned that humans adapt, we survive, and we protect our own. The standoff stretched taut. Korvax faced an impossible choice. His ship outgunned any single human vessel, but 12 working in perfect coordination was another matter. More disturbing was their precise knowledge of Zephyrian weaknesses. Supreme Analyst. Zelek spoke up, his courage overcoming protocol. Perhaps we should consider that our initial assessment was flawed. Any species capable of this response deserves respect, not subjugation. Korvax turned on his subordinate, armor blazing. You forget your place, research assistant. No, Zelek replied, standing taller. I remember our true purpose. We are scientists, not conquerors. This human has shown us something we've never encountered: individual consciousness with collective loyalty. They are not primitives to be studied. They are equals to be engaged. The bridge fell silent. In that moment, Sarah saw the Zephyrian hive mind at work. Thoughts and emotions flowed between crew members, a rapid consensus-building process playing out in light and color. Finally, Korvax's armor dimmed to neutral blue. Stand down weapons. Release the human. As Sarah was escorted to the hangar bay, she paused beside Zelek. Thank you. You might have just prevented a war. Or started something better, Zelek replied. Your species challenges everything we thought we knew. Perhaps it's time we learned to see the universe through individual eyes. Sarah transferred to the human shuttle, but the story didn't end there. In the weeks that followed, formal first contact protocols were established. The Zephyrians, shaken from their superiority complex, approached humanity with newfound respect. They learned that humans had been preparing for contact for generations. Every advancement, every protocol, every safeguard had been designed with one principle in mind. Humanity would meet the universe on equal terms or not at all. The neural scanning technology, reversed engineered from Sarah's experience, led to breakthrough communications between species. Humans learned to interface with the Zephyrian collective consciousness while maintaining their individuality. Zephyrians discovered the strength found in diverse perspectives. Sarah Mitchell became the first human ambassador to the Zephyrian Dominion. Zelek, elevated for his insight during the crisis, became her counterpart. Together, they forged an alliance based on mutual respect and shared curiosity. The Zephyrians had thought they were capturing a specimen from a primitive species. Instead, they encountered the one thing their collective consciousness couldn't predict: human ingenuity powered by individual will and collective purpose. The species that couldn't be broken didn't conquer the galaxy through force. They earned their place through resilience, adaptability, and an unshakable belief that differences were strengths to be celebrated, not weaknesses to be exploited. In the end, both species learned the same lesson. The universe was vast enough for many forms of consciousness, and true strength came from understanding, not dominance. The failed capture of a lone human had triggered not their own downfall, but their elevation to something greater. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals, and the universe would never be the same.